nature dealt the newborn Oscar Pistorius a cruel blow. He was born with missing fibulas in his lower legs, which left doctors no choice but to amputate both legs below the knee at a very early age. This, however, did not stop a young boy that was determined to have a normal childhood, and this led him to become one of the greatest athletes of his time. The Blade Runner, as he has become affectionately known, has rewritten the Paralympic record books and has become an icon of modern times.
I was born in Johannesburg in 1986. I grew up there. I have an older brother and a younger sister, and I think we had a very typical South African lifestyle. You know, just grew up, did a lot of outdoor stuff on the weekend, played a lot of sports. Ended up coming to Pretoria Boys High, where I was a boarder, and through my schooling career I kind of got stuck in athletics, and since then I've run in 2 Paralympic Games, and I've represented South Africa abroad, and yeah, just I think besides athletics, you know, that's just a career that I have, but usually I'm a kind of guy that just likes to sit at home and enjoy company of friends and family.
Oscar got his first set of prosthetics while still a toddler and grew up in a family that would treat him no differently to anybody else.
Yeah, I was born with missing fibula, which is one of the bones between your knee and your ankle. You've got the tibula and the fibula. When I was 11 months old, I had my legs amputated. And when I was 13 months old, I got my first pair of prosthetic legs. I'm smiling because I remember my first shoes were Mickey Mouse shoes. They weren't these cool Nike baby shoes that you get today, but I thought they were quite gangster. And as far as, you know, I think what let me really overcome my disability is that my parents never saw it as anything that should hamper me in not achieving anything physical that I put my mind to. You know, that as far as they saw it, as my brother had shoes that he put on in the morning and I put on my legs, and that's where the difference ended. So yeah, it was really just a kind of mental mindset that they had, and I never had that time when I was growing up to feel sorry for myself or anything like that, and I never, you know, saw a reason to. So in a way I was blessed, and they got me stuck in sport from a very young age, and, you know, taught me that it's not about being the best in sport, but it's about getting involved. You know, it's if you can be the best, you give it your best, even if you're not, but you stay dedicated to what you enjoy. And I think those are lessons that, if I look back now, I'm very, very happy that they taught me.
Even though he had artificial limbs, the young Pistorius was always attracted to sport, and given his situation, made some surprising choices.
And then I got to high school, and rugby and water polo were on offer, and these were 2 sports that I'd enjoyed watching and took a kind of an interest in before high school. So when they were on offer, you know, I immediately changed over to that. And I remember water polo was a sport that I enjoyed because it was physical. It had a lot of fitness involved. I became a strong swimmer at a young age. We'd spend our holidays on my uncle and aunt's farm, and I used to be able to swim there quite a bit. And then rugby was another sport that I'd always loved, and, you know, any boy in an all-boys school just craves to play rugby with his mates, and that was sports I really enjoyed. And then I played both those sports from the time I was in standard 6 to standard 8, and grade 10 as they call it. And then after that, I got a knee rugby injury in 2003 when I was in standard 8, and part of my sport rehabilitation, I hurt my knee, was to get involved in a track program. And I met up with a coach that a biathlete had set me up with, and I've been with him ever since. And it was actually quite strange, because the first 4 months that I started training with him in January 2004 was to just get fit for the rugby season. And then an opportunity came up to run in the South African Disabled Championship, actually Championships for Athletes with Disabilities. And I'd never participated in any event for people with disabilities, physical disabilities. So I went kind of down. I was a bit reluctant because I just didn't know what it was about. I got a bit involved, but literally 2 weeks later was the start of our athletic season, of our rugby season, and my coach came to me and he said, well, you know, I've been invited based on the times that I ran at the South African Champs to run in America. And I'd never been overseas before, so I took up this opportunity. I thought, okay, well, rugby can wait 2-3 weeks, you know. And I set off and I ran there, and then I came back, and this was in June, July, and when I got back, my name was on the short list for the Paralympic Games in Athens. And it was quite strange. I was lining up in Athens for the Paralympic Games, and I didn't even know the guys I was supposed to be running against. You know, the one guy was a 10 times or 9 times world champion. And I think in a way that just showed how naive I was. I was 17, I was this little kid. But I enjoyed sport regardless of what the sporting code was. And then I got back from Athens, I got stuck into sprinting. It was something that I never really wanted to. I enjoyed the training, I enjoyed the competition. I missed the team aspects of rugby and water polo, but that really just took over. And the more I trained athletics, the less I did of rugby and water polo.
Although his athletics career started almost by accident, Oscar soon put all his efforts into it with a discipline and tenacity that all champions have.
For me, it's just basically a simple principle of knowing that I've got a talent that I've been blessed with and not letting it go to waste, really. You see people not only in sport but in business and in various spheres in life achieving things, and they don't just achieve it because they were put in a position to do so. They do it with a lot of hard work, and I've always said, at the end of my career, I don't want to look back and say I had a talent and let it go to waste by not maturing it and training and doing what I need to do. So there are some mornings where you don't feel like waking up, and other days when you wake up and you're stiff or you're tired or you just want an off day, but it's that consistency that really pays off. And so, I believe the harder I work at what I do, the better I can become, and that really motivates me. You're not doing it for anybody else. If you're not motivated to wake up in the morning to go train or to prepare in the way that you need to, nobody else is going to suffer except yourself, and that disappointment in yourself is bad enough. So I guess I'm a bit hard on myself, but I really enjoy the feeling of success, and when that comes together, any sacrifice is worthwhile. It's an unbelievable feeling.
And he has achieved success at the very highest level. But off the Paralympic track, he's also achieving and reaching goals not very many can boast about.
I'm fairly young as a sprinter now. Sprinters usually peak between 27 and 29 years, so I've got at least another 6 years to go. And I'd like to still make it to the Olympic Games. I've run the B qualification time that's needed. I need to double up on that now, and I'm not far from the A qualification time, so that's a goal of mine. I started with BCom Law, and I finished my first year law subjects and some of my second year BCom subjects. So I'm pretty much halfway now, and I'm 24. And then after athletics, really like to go and study architecture after I finished running. I think it's quite a full-time degree, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But I'd like to have it just for the knowledge. I find design very interesting. I'm busy doing my PPL, my private pilot's license, and hopefully I'll be finished with that by the end of the year. It's going a lot slower than I thought it would, and I've always had a fear of heights, so I thought that would be a good way to overcome it. And then just take life as it comes after that, see what happens.
When you achieve at the level that Oscar Pistorius has, sponsors and brands start acquiring one's services, and this took him somewhat out of his comfort zone.
We shot an ad for a company called Tehumugla, which have a men's cologne called Amen. And it was a great honor for me because there was only one South African before me to be chosen for an international cosmetic company, which was Charlize Theron. So to be considered for something like this was obviously a huge thing. And we shot the ad last year in September, and it came out recently in South Africa, and it's been received quite well around the world. We had the international launch in France in February, and it was just really cool. It was so different from shooting a sports commercial. For sports, usually when we shoot a sports commercial, I'm sprinting down a track doing what I do and not having to really worry about or think about the camera. But shooting a fragrance or a fashion brand is very different, because I don't feel that I'm a model, and to have to strike a pose and keep it like that and change small things is very challenging. Actually, it was a very, very different feeling, shooting in studio. So it was a great opportunity, and I think I'm pretty happy with what the end result is. But it was very, very great.
A lot has been said and written about the Blade Runner's blades, and Oscar uses various pairs for various purposes, and he uses them very, very well.
These legs that I've got now, I'll try to show you, they've got a soft cosmesis on them. So when I was at school, I used to play rugby in these prosthetic legs. They're a bit heavier than the running ones, so they're not great for running, but they're very comfortable. The running ones are basically a lighter version of these. They've got a bigger blade, in essence, the foot. This foot's actually very similar in design to the other one, and the reason why these ones are just better for every day is they're not as tight. With the running legs, you want to reduce that amount of movement, so you have that reduction in energy loss. which makes him a bit uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, a high-performance sprinting leg doesn't need to have, be the most comfortable thing. Then the walking legs, I changed when I was growing up pretty much 9 months to every year, and I've had these ones now for about 5 or 6 years, so I think I've stopped growing. I think it's safe to say that. But the cool thing about the walking ones is, I can pretty much dictate how big my calves must be when I need to get them replaced. And in summer and winter, I usually get them resprayed because they take a bit of damage. So in summer, I get like a nice Caribbean tan, and in winter, a bit of a lighter shade. But I've really been blessed. The running legs we replace every 5 years just because the carbon fiber becomes softer and softer, and it doesn't have that energy feedback that you'd want in a leg. We did a lot of testing with the prosthetic legs when I was allowed to rerun in the IAAF Able Body Series, and we found that the walking prosthetics are able to give about 56% energy return, whereas the running ones can give about 71% energy return. So if you put 100 joules of energy in, you'll get about 71 maximum out, which is, if you can imagine, like a pirate peg leg, like you'd put in 100 and you pretty much get 0 out. But it's not able to produce any energy. It's not spring loaded. It's not able to, like if you put in 100, get 105 out. So it's really an amazing piece of technology, and it's really helps us overcome the challenges that one would face if we didn't have them. My motto in life is that you're not disabled by your disabilities, but abled by your abilities. And I feel that everybody has some sort of a disability. It might not be a physical or mental or anything, what we'd consider serious, but it might just be a hurdle in life that, or in business or in family, that allows, that doesn't allow us to break through and to get to where we want to be. But we've got millions of abilities. We've got far more abilities than disabilities, and with those abilities we can overcome the disabilities that we have. Sometimes we focus so much on what we can't do that it becomes bigger than the things that we can do, and if we just focus on what we can do, it's often an easy way around those obstacles and those hurdles. And I feel that's something that I've always believed, because I have what we considered a disability or 2 disabilities, not having 2 limbs. I could say, well, there's a lot of things I can't do, but I've got millions of abilities. I've still got the ability of balance. I've still got prosthetic legs that allow me to walk and run, and I think that's something that's allowed me to overcome those disabilities.
Oscar Pistorius has a rare talent. He runs very fast, yes, but his talent lies in how he overcame adversity, how he approaches challenges, his commitment to his chosen profession, and in his fighting spirit.